So yeah, action is a essential part of having courage.
Courage takes action.
Courage takes action. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey guys, Rix here from Go Encourage, and today we are launching the new Go Encourage podcast, where I'll be sitting down with real people talking about real life, discussing ideas around courage and gaining some insight from their own personal experiences. So joining me first up is my good friend Sam Phillips, and I'm really excited to introduce you to him. So let's get started. So, hey, I'm here with my first ever Go Encourage podcast guest.
Wow.
Yeah. Sam Phillips.
What an honor. Here I am. A round of applause, everyone. Oh, awesome.
So I'm genuinely really pleased to have you here.
Thank you.
Especially as the first guest.
Thank you very much.
How do you feel?
I feel very, very honored, very, very blessed to be here. I wonder why you chose me. Well, maybe it's because I'm your colleague.
Maybe. No, I actually genuinely think that you have such a great insight into life.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I thought it'd be really interesting to talk about some stuff with you.
Hopefully I'll be interesting. So
let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
All right. So I thought we could start off with some getting to know you type questions. I feel like I know you quite well.
Okay.
But I think people watching might not know you at all. So let's get to know Sam.
Yeah.
What do you say? Cool. Let's start with names.
Okay.
So I love the meanings
Jerry.
of names, not random names. Your name.
What do I call my kids?
Well, have you thought about what you're going to call your kids?
Sometimes we've tried about it.
Interesting. When you say we,
with my wife.
You're married.
I have a wife. Her name's
Sam
Janet.
Has a wife. Well done, Sam.
So Sam and Janet for the win.
Amazing.
Yeah. But my name. Yeah, my
but
name.
your name. So your name's Sam. Short for Samuel, I imagine.
Samuel, yes.
Samuel. Samuel.
Different pronunciations, same name.
Do you know what it means?
So it means asked of God.
Asked
of God. Yes,
of God.
that's correct.
Right.
Yes.
And how does that make you feel?
I feel like I'm a gift to the world.
You're a gift to the world. You've heard it here first. But has it given you like a sense of identity, like to know that that's what it means?
My name, what it means, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
I like my name. It's a strong name.
Yeah.
The meaning. But I think the person and the story behind the name has been important to my life, I'd say, especially as I've grown up and got to grips. So if you don't know, Samuel's a name from the Bible.
Right.
I am a Christian and my parents are Christian. That's why they gave me that name. And there's this phrase about this guy Samuel in the Bible where it says none of his words fell to the ground.
Amazing.
And
wow.
So when I read that, as something I've really taken on board in my life and my story, that when I speak and when I encourage people, when I say things to my friends, when I don't want my words to be empty, basically.
Oh, amazing.
I don't want to just throw away my words. Words are such a powerful tool. And I believe in like powerful, effective communication. And
wow. Mate, that got deep quick.
It got deep quick, yeah. But yeah, there's something I've taken on board in my life and gone, that's something that I want to value. I want to value my words and not just waste them. So yeah.
Phenomenal. Oh, I love that. Wow.
There we go.
Okay. I was thinking about Scrabble jokes, like your words falling to the ground, but we went deep. I like that. So where are you from?
So I'm from a little town called Bracknell. In Berkshire.
Southeast England.
Southeast England. Berkshire's known for being where the Queen lives. Oh, well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
But the King lives in Windsor. Bracknell's not the same as Windsor.
Right. I feel like that's an important distinction that you just made there.
Yeah. Everyone thinks Bracknell, everyone thinks Berkshire's posh, but Bracknell, it's got a lot better than it used to be. Okay. But it's not posh now. We're a normal town.
You're a normal town, an average town.
Yeah.
But you love it.
Oh, to the end of the earth.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So you're from Bracknell.
Yeah.
Let's go back to when you were growing up. Was there, the classic, what did you want to be when you were younger, when you thought of yourself as an adult?
So I grew up after my dad, a massive Liverpool fan. And I grew up in the era of the Steven Gerrard Liverpool.
Right.
And so I wanted to be just like Steven Gerrard when I was younger. And I wanted to be a footballer, specifically captain of Liverpool. football club.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah, that was the dream. That was the dream. No small dream. I look back now and I think definitely was never going to happen. Definitely was never good enough at football to even be a professional. But I think what captured me or captivated me was about Stevie G was his way of leading by example.
Right.
And I think he would take games and big games by the scruff of their neck and he would get his team over the line. And I think that's something I try and do when I'm leading something is to lead by example and know that sometimes like actions can speak just as loud as words.
Yeah.
I said about communication, words, but like actions can also communicate. So I think that inspired me in life.
So we're learning so far that you don't want your words to be empty.
Yes.
And that actions speak louder than words.
Wow.
I mean, we're starting off strong, man.
Deep, yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. Okay, so bearing that in mind, actually, you touched on leadership there. Sounds like you lead a couple of things.
Yeah, so I've been involved with my church and doing in leadership. I'm on the leadership team
Amazing.
At our church called Flow Church. You can check it out at Flow Church UK.
Plug.
So I currently lead the I lost my words there. I lead the media team at Flow Church. So our online live streaming and our just any kind of digital output that Flow has, our church has. But I've also done like leading youth and just been around that over the last like 5 or 6 years, really. So yes, I do.
Do you know, I've actually seen you lead teams when you're encouraging people and just, getting things started at the beginning of an event or something like that. And I just want to say you're an incredible encourager.
Bless you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind.
Which is part of why I thought it'd be good to have you here with us.
I feel encouraged now. Yeah. That's awesome.
Amazing. All right. So we talked about what you wanted to do when you grew up, when you were a young boy.
Yeah.
What do you actually do now?
What do I actually do? Well, like I just said, I do work with my church.
Yep.
I also work with you.
You do?
We have a media and branding business.
We do.
And we help give companies visual identity.
Yep.
Which is awesome. And then I also do some work for a charity called Compassion UK.
Oh, amazing.
I just do like customer service for them, which I love. A great culture there. It's a really great place to be. So
you got 3 kind of really big things that you're
juggling. It keeps me busy. I think I'm quite young and just trying to provide for me and my wife, and you have to do what you have to do. To have dreams to expand forward, but also make sure that what my bills are paid now. So
cool. You mentioned your wife a couple of times today.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us a little bit about your wife?
Her name's Janet.
Shout out to Janet.
She's amazing. I love her so much. She's from Estonia.
Amazing.
So she took a lot of courage for her to live here in the first place,
Sure.
To move here from another country. She makes coffee for a living, but she's really, really good photographer. So check her out.
Yeah, I've seen some of her work.
Yeah.
Really good.
Very good.
Really
So,
good.
and she is the kindest, most gentle soul that you'll ever meet. And she just this unique gentleness about her.
Oh,
that
man.
she's a gift.
Getting romantic here.
But like genuinely, not just trying to like, she is a gift to every single person I know. Like everyone I know that knows her would say that she is a blessing to their life. So
I'd agree with that.
yeah. So I think that's what Janet means. I think it means gift. So
is that right?
yeah, or gift of God. I might need to fact check that, but so don't take me too seriously. But yeah,
if your name's Janet and you're watching, you can put it in the comments if that's true or not.
Yes.
We'll hold Sam to account to see if his words were empty or not. All right. Here's a fun one. How do you think your parents would describe what you do?
Okay. My parents would probably say that I do a little bit too much and that I don't see them enough.
And you don't see them enough.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they'd say. I'd just say they're very proud of me. I think my parents are proud of what I've done with my life so far. They're very supportive. So
strong.
Yeah. Love you, mum and dad.
Oh,
epic.
Lots of shout outs today. What's a good compliment that has been said about you?
A good compliment that's been said about me. I can't think of an example of a compliment, but I think when they come from the right people, they can be really powerful. Like when your dad says something to compliment you, that is a powerful moment. Or when my wife says something that she appreciates about me. I think with compliments as well, the more specific they can be, the more powerful they are. I think it's like the words falling to the ground thing. And so people have called me an encourager at times. And the lesson I learned early on about encouraging is that it's easy to give throwaway compliments. I can say to you all day, "You're amazing. Like you're the best. You're so cool. You're so awesome." But that can mean absolutely nothing. But instead, I can pick something out that you did for me, or something that you did for someone else, or something about your character that I really value and appreciate, and that's so much more powerful and meaningful than just going, "You're great."
Yeah, sure.
And there's so much of bloating people's characters in this world that we live in. And, even just social media, just likes and things like that.
Sure.
Actually sitting down with someone, looking someone in the eye and go, "I appreciate it when you invited me to come onto this podcast, because it made me feel like I had a voice and I had something valuable to say."
Is that an example, or is that there's some truth in that?
That is truth in that. And that's an example. And that's meaningful,
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of value in what you're saying there.
Yeah.
And even what you said at the beginning there about coming from the right person.
Yeah.
And, I can relate. Like if your dad says something.
Yeah.
Like I think fathers carry a real weight of identity.
Absolutely.
And what they say really matters.
Yeah, 100%. 90%, I think it's something like 90% of a girl's value for herself comes from her father's value for her.
Yeah, I've read something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it's 90%.
It's a really high, like 75 to 90% of her value. So yeah, fatherhood is a very undervalued thing in our society.
I agree.
That we should be championing because it's powerful.
And then the other person is your wife.
Yeah.
And again, I resonate. I think, one kind word from your wife versus 100 kind words from somebody else. The weight is so different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just the fact that you feel seen by someone that maybe might look at you every day, but to be actually, there's a difference between maybe looking and being, like with my wife, there's a difference between being with her and being around her.
Sure.
Like I'm around her all the time.
Yeah.
But to actually be with her takes some intentionality.
Being present.
Yeah, present and actually. And so it's the same with like looking at her and seeing her. And I don't know how I can explain this, but it's like actually, being present and recognizing things about her and in her and within her, rather than just seeing another human being with me all the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Good.
These are getting to know you questions.
Yeah, we're really getting deep.
Here's one. What does your morning routine look like?
My morning routine just depends.
Okay.
Sometimes when it's like an early start, it just looks like get changed and get out of the house.
Right.
But what I would say is that recently something I've been trying to do, maybe something that I've been trying not to do actually, is to look at my phone in the morning.
Interesting.
Because I was working at Compassion and we had a mental health day where someone came in and taught us about positive, good health, mental health. And something he said that like actually really stuck with me was that looking at your phone and at social media within the first hour of being awake in a day actually really damages your mental health for the day. And so I've been really trying to just not look at my phone at all within that first hour of my day. So I don't even touch it. My alarm goes off and I sit and I just be present and I just ground myself in that day before anything starts. Because the moment you start looking at social media, the moment you start looking through your messages, it just takes you away. And the fact is, it's so addictive.
It is so addictive. Yeah.
And so it decreases your productivity. It decreases your motivation. It really like lowers your self-esteem and the way you feel about yourself. So my morning routines have been just do my normal things.
How long have you been doing that? Trying to avoid?
Well, I've been off and on for a few months, but the last couple of weeks or so, I've been really trying to just not do that.
And can you see a tangible difference?
Absolutely, yeah. It's like I rock up to work like way more motivated, and my mornings become about just driving through as much work as I can. I feel like less tired when I do that. I've also been trying to make sure I get more sleep as well, which again helps when if you're not looking at your phone in the morning, you've got more time to actually get ready.
Yeah.
So actually you have a little bit more time to sleep as well.
Yeah.
And then it's the same at night as well, and trying not to be on it for too long before bed, and making sure you you can just lose so much time to this thing. And especially some of the platforms that are coming out. I love YouTube, and I love it, Instagram. Like, these platforms are amazing tools to use and to learn, but there can get a point where you've been on TikTok for an hour, and what have you even got out of that hour?
Yeah, sure.
Other than like being zombified, staring at your screen, at other people's lives.
I agree.
So,
and there's a difference between that and watching TV. I grew up as a Gen X. And TV was the big thing, right? But the TV is that much more far away from you, and you're usually doing other things as you're watching or consuming TV in that way. Whereas your phone, it's all your attention.
Yeah, and these videos are so short, so you just think, I'll just watch another one. Watch another one, and it just So I don't think social media as all in all is bad.
No,
but I think building good habits around it and around your phone is going to increase your mental health and your productivity and your motivation so much.
Awesome. Wow. I didn't think we were going to go there. That's really good. That's really good.
We're going.
Did you want to say anything else about your morning routine?
I brush my teeth. I put my clothes on, and
the world thanks you, Sam, for those two.
Make sure I eat breakfast in the morning. It's the most important meal of the day.
Do you know, it's such a like mum and dad thing to say, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until much later on in life how important those things are. Like, eat some food, get some sleep. Like, it changes your life, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. Just getting basic things nailed and healthy. It's just building blocks to just good things in your life. So yeah.
Agree. Cool. All right. Love languages. Are you aware of love languages?
I am. Yes, I am.
Can I ask you your top 2 love languages?
So my top 2 would be words of affirmation and physical touch.
Amazing. Cool. So if someone speaks kindly over you, about a specific,
yes,
that means a lot to you.
It means a lot to me, yeah.
And I guess on the other side of the coin, if someone speaks negatively over you, it can. I'm assuming it can.
I'd say
detrimental.
It can be detrimental. I think you learn in life to let these comments not become a root for you.
Sure.
And I think I've done work in my life to not be hung up on what other people think about me or say about me. But I think there's always an initial like, ooh, when someone says something not so kind to you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then physical touch.
Yeah.
Affectionate.
Yeah, I like hugs. I think this one I like, especially with my wife.
Absolutely.
But it's, we could go there, but just a hug, just a touch on the shoulder, just the small things as well from my wife, just like her putting her legs on me when we're sat on the sofa. It's just nice, it makes me feel valued and a valuable thing for her. So
and with love languages, they're insights on what makes you feel connected as well. You said, putting your legs over your laps while she's watching something or whatever, or arms around each other, holding hands, things like that. It creates connection.
Exactly. And even if we're doing different things, sometimes it's just nice to sit next to each other. If I'm playing Xbox and she's on her phone, it's nice if we just sit next to each other and do that. So,
I can relate to those two because they're mine as well. The other way around.
You're amazing.
You're incredible. Specifically, the way that you. But I was going to throw it outside of marriage as well, and just things like when you're with friends. I always try Actually, I always greet my friends with a hug,
You do, yeah.
except after COVID. It just changed everything.
COVID, man.
Like my initial reaction isn't to hug anymore. My initial reaction is to see if this person is comfortable hugging.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what are you curious about in your
Interesting.
life right now?
What am I curious about in my life right now? I think what I'm been like thinking about a lot recently is how rest helps me to be the fullest version of myself and bring the most of myself to the world around me.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So I think I mentioned I've been trying to make sure I sleep properly, make sure I'm not too much on my phone, and make sure like my body's actually rested so that when it comes to working, I can actually work to my full capacity because I'm not just tired all the time.
Is it? Have you arrived at that sort of revelation somehow?
I think, yeah, I'd say I arrived at it recently.
Okay,
I think I've always had a good idea of rest.
that's good.
I think I've always had an idea that it's really important. But I think sometimes you go through life and you develop bad habits. And I think like just going to bed on a work day, just too late for me. I know that I need sleep and I need that rest to make sure I fully function. And
I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people operate the same way.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much to do in the world.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. But I think actually like giving yourself time to stop and giving yourself like will actually increase your output.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
Yeah. And then actually when your output is maximized, you actually feel less tired as well. I've been realizing this really in like days of work, that when in the days I actually really work, I actually come out of them less mentally tired. Maybe it might be different if you have a very physical job.
Sure.
I get that. So there's always exceptions to what we're talking about. But for me, my work isn't too physically tiring. But on the days where I don't maybe give my all, I come out of that way more mentally weary than the days I really do give my all. Yeah. And then that has a toll on my body. But then like having good sleep and having a good basis of rest in my life enables me to get that productivity out in the first place. And so I think the way I was saying it is that maximizing my productivity will minimize my weariness.
Yeah, it's good.
So there's a whole thing about it. So it's not just about working hard as I possibly can all the time, because that's just going to burn you out. But it's about putting the right structures in place so that when you turn up at 9 o'clock in the morning or whenever you might start work, you're fully ready to give it your all in that time.
Yeah, that's good.
And then you finish and then you rest properly so that the next day you're ready to give it all. And when you do that, you're going to feel more fulfilled. You're going to feel less mentally weary. You're going to feel a sense of motivation about your life and like kind of like positive energy. It's going to just give you more energy. And there's a word for it about like when you have like I can't remember the word.
Fair enough.
Like an oomph for life.
A zest.
A zest. Yeah. It'll give you a zest for life.
Yeah. That's good. You know, I was listening to something just yesterday and it was talking about a calendar.
Okay.
And you kind of sparked me there a little bit when you're talking about rest. And it talked to, we use our calendar to sort of block out times in the day so we know, what we're supposed to be doing, where our responsibility lies for the day. But actually, we default into that we only put the thing that we have to get done that day on the calendar.
Right.
And then around it, we kind of just fill it with, I don't have to do anything right now, so I'll just do this or I'll be on my phone or whatever. And what was really interesting, and it links to what you're saying there, is what I was listening to, the person was talking about planning in your day into the calendar, not so that the calendar becomes this tyrannical force that you are now under, but actually that you use it to design your day.
Okay.
So actually blocking out rest slots.
Yeah.
To go, in between this thing and this thing, I need an hour of downtime or an hour at the look. If gym is the thing that gives you that rest, fair enough. Go to the gym if it gives your mind a rest or whatever.
Yeah.
But using the calendar to design your day as opposed to not prioritizing some important things like rest.
Yeah, I actually there was a pastor at my previous church that used to block his whole calendar in half an hour slots.
Yeah.
So he'd even like with his wife block out half an hour with his wife and then live his life half an hour at a time through his calendar.
Yeah.
And then his point was that he maximized the usefulness of his time doing that. And I remember that really stuck with me. He came and did a teaching session when I was on the church internship year about that. And I was like, oh, wow, that's, I mean, I didn't do it, but maybe I should, And but just testament to him, he led a church for 44 years. He led the church for 44 years. So that's an incredible achievement in life. 44 years leading a church is something that I know I aspire to.
Sure.
I think, if anyone wants to be in leadership, that's something to aspire to.
And even if we took away that, I mean, that's incredible. But even if we took it away and said 44 years of doing something that brings success in any sphere of life,
absolutely,
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. So I'll listen to how he did that, and so there's a lesson. Maybe we should all calendar our life a bit stronger.
Yeah,
so.
and again, I think the point that was being made is, not to look at the calendar as this thing that you're enslaved to, but actually it's something that you design and then you have the power to shift things as the day goes.
That's true. Yeah, structures can be freeing, but they can also be limiting.
Absolutely.
And so, I think you're right. Having the right attitude towards it is really important.
And a theme there connected to what you were saying about, not looking at social media first thing in the morning is these things are good. Like calendars are good. Like social media is great.
For sure.
It's do you allow them to have control over your life or can you create boundaries in order to make sure they serve you, not the other way around?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do people misunderstand about you?
Great question. I think something that people misunderstand about me is that they think that I've always been as confident as I have been. I think sometimes I feel like I'm quite secure in myself now. And I think when you come across to someone as someone who's quite secure in themselves, I think they assume that maybe you've never gone through anything in your life, or like that you don't have any life experience. So, nothing bad's ever happened to him or, but actually that confidence has come from going through stuff and coming stronger out the other side. And so I wasn't always confident. When I was maybe a teenager, I was very, very shy.
Right.
The people at school thought I was quite boring. They thought I went home to do homework for the whole evening, but in fact, I just sat on my Xbox. Or I actually had a PlayStation then, but I was actually just playing PlayStation on my own, playing like solo FIFA all the time.
Right.
So like I had a confidence like issue back in that, and that took work. With people speaking into my life, with leaning in. I was at a youth group at church, so leaning into opportunities at that youth group at church. I had opportunities to speak at times. And
when you say you had an opportunity to speak, what do you mean?
So I had an opportunity when I was 16 to do like a 5-minute, we call it preach.
Oh, okay.
Like
public.
Public
gotcha.
speaking. Yeah. And like I had to, face things that have been going on in my home life and my family life that made things difficult at times growing up.
Sure.
And so, sometimes I think when you meet someone confident, sometimes you think, oh, they've just all got it together because they've never been for anything. But actually sometimes their confidence is a testimony of where they came from.
Yeah.
And what I believe in my life God did through and for me.
Can you think of 1 or 3 movies?
Not 2.
Well, I was going to say 1, but then I thought, oh, that's really difficult. Let's spread it out to say 3.
Yeah, sure.
Movies that have inspired you to be more courageous.
Okay. Yeah. 3 movies that inspired me to be more courageous. First one I'll say is Gladiator.
Gladiator.
It's a great movie.
Classic.
But just the way the dude takes a massive knockback. His family get killed.
Oh my gosh.
And yet he just never gives up. Inspiring. And just the soundtrack is very inspiring.
Yeah,
you can just listen to the soundtrack.
Soundtrack's incredible.
We watched, the end, he goes to like Elysium. And I watched it with my mom and she was in tears when he does that. So, so Gladiator, I'd go for The Bucket List. I don't know if you've ever seen it. No. It's got Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson in it.
Oh, wow.
And it basically, fun fact, I think the term bucket list actually came from this movie. It didn't exist before this movie.
Oh, wow.
I might be wrong.
Okay.
But just these old guys that both have cancer just come up with a plan to do everything in their life that they ever wanted to do before they die, before they kick the bucket.
Morgan Freeman
and Jack Nicholson.
And Jack Nicholson. Oh,
so it's a quality cast and it's just inspiring just to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, sure.
You want to go climb Everest? Not that I particularly want to climb Everest.
No.
Do it. You want to, go see New York, like find a way and do it because, life is short. We don't always have the time to do everything. We don't have the time to do everything, but enjoy your life. You could so easily lose, all your time to just working and striving after things. So,
yeah. Okay. All right.
So the bucket list is great. And then my last one is a bit of an offbeat movie. It's called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh, I haven't seen that either.
Yeah. It's about this guy. He lives an office desk life. And then he kind of has like these daydreams of him doing amazing things like being like saving this girl, climbing Everest again.
Oh, wow.
But he ends up in Iceland somehow and it just looks really cool.
I'm going to write this down. I want to check these out.
Yes, it's called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Cool. It's an inspiring movie. To dream of things in your life and to go to Iceland. I really want to go to Iceland now. Yeah, he ends up longboarding down this really cool road, and the soundtrack to the movie is epic. Yeah. So it's cool. It's inspiring. So
Gladiator. Yeah, because he never gives up. No matter what happens. He never gives
up. Yeah.
Bucket list movie.
Yep. Dream of things and do them.
And then The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Yeah. Be a hero.
And
just go to Iceland.
Go to Iceland.
Yeah.
I like it. Same sort of vibe. 3 books that may have changed your life.
Well, as I think I've mentioned that I'm Christian. So the Bible, I think, is something that I can't not mention here.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. Doesn't Bible mean library of books?
It does mean library of books. So that's right.
There's lots of books in there.
So there's like 66 books in there. So here are 66 books that I read. But I mean, whether you believe it or not, it has some incredible wisdom for your life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you believe it, it's life transforming.
Okay.
Another book that has an impact on my life is I read the Narnia books growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they were just, again, inspiring. Like just the way he writes as well and tells the story. He creates this other world. And then the adventurous spirit of the children that go into Narnia and they become heroes. Makes you want to be a hero too.
Makes you want to be a hero.
Yeah. There's 7 books in there, and 66 books in the Bible.
I'm not sure if that's playing by the rules.
That's more books than you asked for. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's move on. So, Sam, I'm a really big lover of productivity.
Nice.
Just wanted to put it out there. Do you have any tips or a system? I know we talked about a calendar earlier on and stuff like that, but do you have anything or maybe a mindset that you could share with the Going Courage community? From your life experience
about productivity. Something that's really helped my productivity in the last couple of months or so is just really like cutting the fat off your life. Let me explain. All right. So it came around from Compassion recently that they would lend me a monitor to use for my work from home space.
Okay.
And so that kind of triggered a movement in my mind that I need to sort this area out of my home, which was our dining table. It's now my desk.
Okay.
I need to sort that out to now become a workspace.
Right.
And so when I talked to Janet about this actually then ended up being a full-blown organization, clear out of our home. We threw clothes out. We just went through every section of our home and literally just cut the fat off our lives.
Right. I'm with you now. I'm understanding what you mean.
Yeah. And so, because like we didn't have the space to do that. So, and there was like, and in life, especially like when you live in a space, you end up just accumulating stuff. And this can happen mentally as well, right? This can happen digitally on your laptop, but it was happening to us physically in this moment where we were accumulating stuff to the point where the space that we were in was no longer fit for purpose for productivity and creativity.
Sure.
And so sometimes in life, you need to cut the fat back to really be able to then create space to create creative space. That was a weird saying, but you know what I mean? So we tidied up, we got rid of clothes. Like we just, Janet wanted to do a clear out after a year of being in our flat anyway.
Sure.
But it was the trigger of getting that screen that caused us to actually go ahead and do it and enabled me to then have mind space and physical space to look at my productive space and go, how do I make this
that makes sense.
The most productive creative space it can possibly be? And actually, when I work with you, it actually made me think about how can I upgrade my office space at the same time.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you just start cutting fat in your life, when you just start going, I'm actually going to start sorting stuff out in my life. I'm going to start throwing things away. It's not just about cutting fat, it's about creating space.
Yeah, sure.
It will overflow into other areas of your life. Because not only did I sort out my home office, but I also sorted out my office space as well. And
I like it. It's a good analogy.
Yeah. And it created just more productivity and creativity when I'm in those spaces and motivation that when I'm there, I want to work, actually want to work, actually want to show up to these places and actually just having like the right tools and right space in front of you makes you go, I'm going to do this thing that I'm trying to do.
As opposed to all this other stuff distracting you or you've got to do something about it.
Yeah, and just demotivating you.
Yeah.
Just making you feel like, this is just not very nice right now. Like, I don't want to be in this space. You go, I'm actually really enjoying being in this space. It's clean and it's
I really like the analogy as well. Like I'm a big steak eater.
Oh yeah. I love it. Yeah. Steak.
You cut the fat off. You stick to the healthy bit.
Yeah.
You trim it, you get rid of it because it's not good for you.
Yeah. And then you have more room to have another steak on another day. So
all right, Sam, I feel like we've really got to know you.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That's good.
And that went a lot deeper than I thought.
You can all be my friends now.
Hey, who wants to be Sam's friend?
Yeah.
Write in the comments. All right. So I thought we could have a look at the word courage.
Okay.
Break it down. Let's see where we land.
Nice.
All
okay.
Right. So I wrote down here a dictionary definition of the word courage. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. So 2 dictionaries.
Not just one.
Not just one.
But 2 dictionaries.
2 dictionaries. We want to try and
get
a wider understanding. So the Oxford Dictionary.
Okay. Oh, Oxford.
Go Oxford.
Brilliant.
Defines it like this: the ability to do something that frightens one.
Oh, okay.
Semicolon. Bravery.
Wow. Bravery.
Bravery. Just do your Braveheart.
Okay.
Braveheart. Gladiator impression.
Gladiator, yeah.
I can't even think of what the quote was from the film. But anyway, so the ability to do something that frightens one, bravery. And the Merriam-Webster definition.
Wow, Merriam-Webster.
I like this.
Who was Merriam-Webster?
I actually don't know.
Well, let's find out.
We should find out.
If you know, put it in the comments.
I would like to know because then I come across as smarter, but I just don't know.
Fair enough. That took courage to admit that.
Thanks, man. But I don't source my identity from not knowing who Merriam-Webster was.
But what does she say courage is?
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. There you go.
I like
definitions of courage.
There you go. Let's just look at these definitions again. So the Oxford says the ability to do something that takes courage. That's not right.
That frightens one.
I'll read it again. It says the ability to do something that frightens one, bravery.
Bravery.
And then this one, mental or moral strength to venture. It's a verb.
Yeah.
Persevere. It's a verb. Withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. Withstand is a verb. There is an action nature about courage.
Wow.
I'm not saying courage is an action, but without action, there is no courage.
Yes. Oh, mate. Say that one more time.
Without action, there is no courage.
Amazing.
Like, I can say all day that I'm not afraid of public speaking, right?
Right.
I can say all day that I'm not afraid of any plethora of things. But until I stand on a stage and actually do the thing that I've been afraid of, I haven't actually shown courage. Even if I might have the courage, I can't prove it.
Yes,
I can't say, I could say as much as I want, which I believe is a really helpful thing. That actually saying things like, I'm not afraid will help you to not be afraid. But it's the action that you have to take that proves and shows the courage that you have.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Otherwise, it's just a thought.
It's just a thought, and it's all talk. It's like I said, it's words falling to the floor.
Yeah, sure.
It's empty words that, but your action then will then validate the words that you have and the thoughts that you have and the feelings and the ideas that you have, that I am courageous and I can do the things that I've been afraid of. So yeah, action is a essential part of having courage.
Courage takes action.
Courage takes action. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, when I look at that, it's all verbs, and to do something, it's an important part, the ability to do something.
Why do you think courage is an important part of life?
Wow. Without courage, you can't do anything.
Unpack.
There's so much you could be afraid of in this world. Just like even just think about leaving the house.
Yeah.
There's so much I've had to do. Let's give more credit to ourselves, the courage that we've already had in our lives. And I think that might help you feel like, better about courage. Like the fact that I got out of my bed this morning took courage. The fact that I just think more of a probably solid concrete example, the fact that I drove here today took courage. I could have died.
Sure.
Like every time I leave the house, every time I go into a public space, every time, there's always a risk that something could happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just that I've developed my courage enough in these things to know that more than likely it's going to be okay.
And it's a great example because I'm sure if you're watching or listening, Sam saying driving here took courage. It sounds like, what are you talking about? But actually, you learn how to drive, right?
Yeah,
you learn how to drive. Those first few lessons that you have takes courage. Like, oh my gosh, how does this thing work? I'm scared. Or, a lot of people are scared to take their driving test. So it's a pressure situation. But after years and years and years of driving, you develop that skill.
Yeah.
And therefore, you might not need as much courage anymore.
Exactly, yeah. It's just, I think you just get to a level with courage and overcoming fear where you're good with that. You're good with that. And but what my second part of my point here is that without courage, you can do nothing, but with courage, you can do everything.
Wow.
And so I think what happens with most people through life is that you naturally, nearly every person, I mean, there are people maybe out in the world who really, really struggle with this.
Sure.
And bless you. I'll pray for you because if you're really crippled by the fear of leaving your house, then that's very sad.
I actually was,
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So about 20 years ago, I really struggled with anxiety and found myself in a place of depression because I couldn't overcome some of the stuff that was going around.
Right.
And, it's taken years to get through that and develop boundaries and skills and things like that, and a great community around me. That's a story for another day. But in terms of what we're talking about, it took a lot of courage just to get out of the front door. Whereas now, I don't even think about it,
Yeah.
But it takes that action, going back to the last question, it takes that action to go, I can think about this for 2 hours and drive myself into close to insanity with anxiety, or I can take action and go for it. And if I fail, it's all right.
I think the thing then, you're a really good example for this, because you came from an extreme place.
Sure.
Of lacking courage to a place of now having maybe a normal level of courage. I think you're a great example, because it could be really easy for you to plateau on how much courage you have in life. And I think it's really easy to kind of get to a level where maybe we all have as much courage as maybe the person on our left and the person on our right. And we go, I'm actually just going to now plateau. And that's why my point is, with courage, you can do everything. With most people won't do everything. Sure. They could do so much more. And like, you could do so much more now.
Sure.
But, so yeah, my point is, keep pushing. Like, keep finding new fears that you have in your life and overcoming them.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that you're doing this podcast right now. Go Encourage, because you're putting your voice out there. You're putting your voice of your friends out into a space where people aren't always friendly, aren't always kind, might not even care. But you're having courage to say, actually, I'm going to keep pushing my level, and I'm actually going to keep having courage. I'm going to keep believing that with courage, I can do anything.
Absolutely.
Within limits, of course. Like, let's just be logical about it. But
but it's usually a barrier, isn't it? Fear is usually a barrier that stops us moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to overcome fear, you have to exercise courage.
And I just think sometimes it's not even fear; it's just laziness. It's just
absolutely.
Complacency. It's just the plateauing of life. Of I've got my kids. I've got a job. I'm keeping it down. I'm providing for myself. I'm okay now.
I'll stop here.
I don't need to grow anymore. I'm good now. Life is comfortable now, and to really live a truly fulfilled and to hit your potential, it's getting to that plateauing place and going, how do I keep the curve going upwards? So, yeah,
that's good. Oh, I like that. Oh,
yeah,
mate.
Nice.
Can you think of an example where you had to face your fear and be courageous?
If I think back a couple of years ago, so I mentioned earlier that I've done preaching. I did a little preach. So actually that grew into more and more like public speaking and talking at my church. I did some at our Friday night youth groups. We had a big youth group. So I got to do some as I was like leading there. And then I started my own like site of the youth. It was small, like maybe like 10 people, but I did quite a bit of public speaking and preaching there. And then one time actually...
How old are we talking about? How old
I was between 19 and 20 at this point. Okay. So yeah. And so I actually got asked at one point to go and preach at a youth event that was going on in Portugal for a church in Portugal.
Amazing. Like a team of you going out there.
So actually, I went on my own. So I didn't know anyone in Portugal. I just had this contact that my pastor Liam had. And so I went out on my own.
So you just asked, hey, can you go? And
he asked me if I could go. And I was like, yeah, okay, all right. And on my own, on my Larry, I went, flew on my own for the first time, which actually is delightful. Flying on your own is really nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
Actually, I have done it once.
But I stayed in someone's house I didn't know. I preached at their youth event. I did a small group for their young adults ministry.
Right.
And all without knowing anyone, I got to know people. And I just think sometimes doing things like that, it's an extreme way of overcoming fear. But pushing yourself out the boat just gets you in the flow of like overcoming fear and obstacles in your life. And it was a great experience where something that maybe a couple of years earlier, when like I said, I wasn't too confident, I probably never would have even dreamt of doing, like going to a country you don't know anyone. And then you have to get to know the people that you're with. And
mate, I'm getting nervous just thinking about it.
Like you have to, eat food that you're not used to eating. And you have to then stand up in front of them and deliver something personal from your life that you've been learning about to them. But doing that then helps you get in a flow that when you come back from that trip, you're like, yeah, okay, there's this little thing that I've been trying to overcome. I did that, so yeah, I can do this.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it becomes. I like that. I like thinking about overcoming fear as a habit, and that as you develop the habit of let me say that again. As you develop the habit of overcoming fear, the easier and easier it becomes to overcome more and more fear. And it pushes you above the plateau that we were speaking about earlier.
And I mean, and especially something like that where you're just thrown into the deep end. You know, there's no plan B for that, right? You're kind of forced to take action.
Just have to give the preach. And in fact, on this trip, I had a little iPhone 5S at this time.
Right.
My phone completely died on this trip.
No.
So I wasn't just like alone in this country. I had no way of like contacting like my world. I had my laptop because I was doing uni study at that time.
Right.
So when I was at the base at my place I was staying, it was fine. But when I was out, I was out.
You were like proper off the grid.
And we all know that like looking on your social media is a real social blanket. So when things get awkward, at least you got your iPhone to look at. Had none of that.
None of that. Wow.
So that's good. And then maybe another example of a time I've overcome fear in my life, which I think might be quite relatable for a few people, was actually with my wife.
No, mate, we've all been to Portugal and spoken. You know, we can relate to that. No, sorry, you said you were
with my wife when I asked her out for the first time.
Oh yeah.
When eventually I asked her to marry me.
Come on.
But that took courage and that took bravery. Actually, the day that I asked her to marry me, I actually went to her father and just let him know that this was going on.
Oh, amazing.
And I tried to speak to him in Estonian. He ended up speaking to me in English, which was very graceful of him.
Oh, good on you.
But that was a moment, that was a real scary moment. I was very nervous about speaking to him. I had no idea what he was going to say to me about me, what he thought. Because he's like, he's not Christian. And so, you know, what he might think about me marrying his daughter.
And obviously different culture.
Different culture. I'm an Englishman that's come in and I'm now with his daughter. I was very nervous about what that conversation might have turned out to be like. And that took a real moment of just a deep breath, just stopping and saying, I'm here right now and I'm going to do this. And then just allowing yourself to fall in to like overcoming the fear that you were facing. My heart was beating out of my chest before this conversation.
I can imagine.
And so, and it's the same with the time that I asked her out on the first date I ever asked her out. Your heart is beating, everything in you know, like fear. You have fear for a reason. Like your body's trying to say, danger, danger, don't do it, don't do it. But some things like there was no danger asking her out. It was just the fear that she might reject me.
Sure.
And you have to allow yourself to fall through that kind of that heart beating fast, the thoughts going around in your head. I find it really easy, really useful sometimes just to stop and take a deep breath.
I was going to ask, is there something that you could put into
just
place?
Stop and take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, and you just, with overcoming fear, you just have to just say, "All right, this is it. Let's go." And you just take action. It's that action. It's that step of action again. If I can share an example, I remember when I was in my year 6 residential, we went up to the Lake District, and we did a zip wire.
Oh wow,
which was really cool. But I remember this girl got to the top. It was a really high tower that you jumped off on the zip wire, and she just didn't do it. And the more she waited, the worse and the worse the fear got. And eventually she just couldn't do it. And she was up there for like 10, 15 minutes. And we were like, come on, you can do it, you can do it. But when I did the zip wire, I just took a breath and I just literally fell into the fear that was in that moment. Because the longer you leave it, the worse it can get.
Yeah, I agree. So, and can I share something on that as well?
Of course,
a bunch of us guys went to Croatia.
Okay.
And we did lots of stuff. There's some whitewater rafting and all sorts of bits and bobs.
That's cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then there was this bit where we got to this cliff.
Okay.
And we had to jump off the cliff and jump into the water.
It was safe, right?
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't any safety harnesses. Okay. We had a life jacket.
I mean, you weren't like jumping into rocky death water.
No. It wasn't straight down. So there was a few rocks up. So you had to actually jump.
So you had to jump.
Okay. And it's funny because the tour guide there, I wonder if you'll ever watch this back.
Wow.
But I asked him, because I I don't really have a head for heights, I'll be honest, right? So I was like, and they were really sort of playing into that on the way, and I was pretty nervous.
Okay.
But I asked him, I was like, do you have safety gear? Like if something goes wrong? He was like, yeah. I can't do a Croatian accent, but he was like, yeah, no problem. And he pulled out this kind of urn looking thing, and he opened it, and inside were some plasters. And he's like, no problem. And I was like,
wow.
I was like this scared before, and now I'm like, what? Anyway, to link to your story, I think there was like 6 or 7 of us. We all got up there, and I just decided in my head, I'm not going to go first.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not going to go last.
It's good. Yeah.
So the first guy jumped off, the second guy jumped off, and I was like, I'm just going to be the third guy. I don't care.
Yeah.
And so I kind of pushed my way through and just jumped, took action. Loved it. I'd probably do it again now because I've done it.
Well, you're going to be all right. So,
yeah, exactly. But the link to the main link to the story here was the last guy. Is my cousin actually. He couldn't do it.
Oh, no.
And he just got inside of his own head.
Yeah.
And again, about 10 minutes, we're like, you got this, you can do this. There were other people doing the same sort of thing. So the next group had come, and they'd come up, and the instructor from the next group, our instructor did not come up with us, our tour guide, sorry. And their tour guide did. And he kind of talked to my cousin and said, hey man, you got this, and gave him like a good couple of minutes of his time, and he just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So he had to do the walk of shame down.
Fear can be crippling.
It crippled him, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it kind of like really had a downer on him for the rest of the holiday. But again, just to say, sorry, I know I asked you the question. I'm jumping in here.
No, that's good.
But what it did though, it motivated him, and this is why I think fear can be a real a good thing if you channel the energy right.
Yeah.
Is it motivated him to overcome that, and so then he went into the skydive, a tandem skydive,
nice.
by himself, no friends, no one to get in his head, nothing like that. And about 6 months later, he did it, and he jumped out of a plane and parachuted down to the.
So hats off to that guy. That's
what a dude.
Yeah.
What a dude. Yeah. So I think fear can be crippling.
Yeah.
I think those moments, like going back to asking your future father-in-law for his daughter's hand in marriage, like that's a big deal.
Yeah. It was a scary moment, but Nike have got it right.
Nike,
just do it, man.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, not to everything, but to the fears in your life that are. Maybe not all fears hold you back, but you're going to get to a point at some point where something scares you.
Yeah.
And I think there's a way in life of just, we just not avoiding. It's just not avoiding. And I think there's a, you have to have an attitude of just, I'm just going to keep stepping forward one step at a time.
Yeah, sure.
Until I reach that point, I have to face this thing. I take a deep breath and
just go for it.
Just go for it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
And actually, in relationships, some of the guys I've spoken to, it's the commitment thing that is the fear, is the bad. Like, I love this woman, I want to be with her, but I'm so scared of commitment. What that looks like, I'm going to be, my freedom's going to go, all that kind of thing. But the beautiful thing is with courage, and I think just doing it, is to see beyond the fear.
Yeah.
And go, hang on a second. There's something really rewarding and something really valuable.
Yeah.
And yes, it's going to cost something.
Yeah.
But the best things always cost something, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
No, that's great.
Are there people who come to mind that have challenged you or inspired you to grow, particularly in courage, but, people that have inspired you?
I'd have 2 people that in my life have really helped me to grow and to channel courage in my life. One is a guy called Ben. Ben is a good friend. But when I was in my youth group at church, he was a little bit older than me.
Right.
And he just really got behind me, would encourage me, and just he really pushed me as a young guy who maybe was very not confident.
Sure.
He pushed me to really be confident.
Amazing.
To choose confidence almost, rather than just expect that it will come one day or develop one day.
And is there any insight you can give us on how he did that? Maybe there's something he said, or
I think he just spoke words over me.
Right. Okay.
I think his words weren't empty that he said to me, and there are things that he said that he might not even remember that to me to this day have stuck with me and actually have genuinely changed the way that I look at my life.
Sure.
Like he told me one day that there was an aspect of my life that was limiting me. And if I don't face that, it's always going to limit me.
Wow.
And now that's been in my mind ever since then to
Yeah.
not limit myself.
That's great. It's great advice.
So when the pandemic hits and I get told to lead the media team at Flow, I could have just gone, I'm not going to spend money on cameras. I'm not going to spend money on, the tech that I need to do this because, I had a limiting mindset.
Sure.
But actually, because he said that to me 5 years before that, I instead had the mindset of not limiting myself. So I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to spend some money on bits and bobs here and there so I can learn and develop new skills and grow.
That's good.
So,
really good.
So thanks to Ben, he changed my life, man.
Amazing. And that's incredible.
Yeah.
So good to have good people speaking to you.
Absolutely. And another guy who's been pretty important to my growth as a human being and as a man is my pastor, Liam. Yeah. So and just an example of, he's done so much and he's like encouraged me, given me advice with girls, like with Janet, not girls, but with the girl, my wife. But one thing that maybe really sticks out to me about courage in particularly, and about what we've been talking about today, about just doing it, is about he's taught me like the lesson of little and often will make a bigger impact than really big, but not very often at all. Yeah. So he once told me about, if you want to pick up a new skill or new habit, it's better to do it. I think this came from like a Japanese proverb or something, or a way of life, but it's better to do like it 5 minutes a day or even a minute a day.
Yeah, that's
like
good.
If you want to learn a language, do it 1 minute a day rather than doing 1 hour once a week or once a month. Because if you start doing 1 minute a day, eventually that's going to turn into more and more time each day. But you've also developed a pattern of such consistency that you're going to get it eventually.
Definitely.
And that with like, if I can link that to courage, like with fear, it's good to overcome little fears.
Yeah.
Because if you, again, it's the habit of overcoming fear, right? I talked about earlier. If you don't have that habit and all of a sudden you have to face a massive fear in your life, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, with your brain, there are two parts of your brain with processing fear. I think it's called your prefrontal cortex and then the back one. And so with what happens most of the time when you face something that scares you, it automatically goes to the back part of your brain, which triggers the fight, flight, or freeze response. Whereas you want to learn to like stop that. That's why breathing deep, I think, is actually important when you face a fear, because it gives a moment for that initial response to go bam, and then for your prefrontal, I think this is your prefrontal, to start kicking in, the logical part of your brain to start kicking in, you get to actually start to think about, all right, what is it I'm facing and what am I going to do about it? And if you're doing that little and often through your life, that's going to be much more powerful. Because if you just come across a big fear and you haven't done this practice before, you're just going to literally, the fight, flight, or freeze will kick in and you'll just literally do that. And, you won't have the skill or the ability to get that stopped and start thinking with the logical part of your brain. But yeah, just doing little and often, he really taught me that. And he's amongst many things. So shout out to him. He's a legend.
And it works in relationships. We're going to do some podcasting around relationships. So I'd love to have you back for that.
Okay.
So that's going to be really good.
Should bring Janet on
and
it
other
as well.
things. Yeah, she'd be more than welcome to come along. What was I saying about... lost my train of thought there. I was just thinking how awesome Janet is.
Hey,
it'd be
nice.
good to have her. Marriage. I was going to talk about marriage real quickly, and just I think me and my wife have just discovered this. We've been married a long time. I was very much into these big gestures, like here's an incredible gift for you. Here's an incredible holiday. Let's go and do this. But in between those things, just really busy with work and not being able to to be around more and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. And then what I learned, and she taught me this, to be fair, is it's the little things consistently that mean, maybe not mean more, but they actually matter. They really matter. And they actually say far more.
Yeah, one massive thing doesn't make up for a lack of the little things through life. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So now I can buy her a Twix. And, it's significant. She likes Twix. She likes Twix.
Okay.
That's the connection.
I was like, what's the significance of a Twix?
She likes the Twix.
okay.
So I can buy her a Twix, and
you should get her a Twix today
instead of buying her a laptop for her birthday.
Did you do that?
I actually have bought her two laptops, actually.
Okay.
Phones, and for me, like, they're great gifts, right?
Mate, I'd love that. Yeah.
But not so much for her.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, get her a Twix.
Yeah, it's an understanding.
Yeah.
And when you do little things, you'll start to understand really what matters to that person.
Yeah.
So that you're much better equipped when you want to do a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes less investment. So it's a good thing. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. We're almost there.
Oh, brilliant. It's been good.
You're enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I'm
good.
loving it. Yeah.
If I ask you right now, what's the most important thing that you've learned in your life?
Oh, interesting.
What would you say?
The most important
It doesn't
thing.
have to be confined to courage. It could be just the most important thing.
I just say, the most is a hard thing. I think a important thing I've been learning
fair.
at the moment is to champion other people.
Ooh, like that.
If you want to succeed in life, you want to help others around you to succeed as well. I want to champion other people because other people are awesome.
Yeah.
I want to love other
sure.
people because they're worth loving. And I think something I've been learning is, and actually I'll just be more content in life because it's not all about me just being the best, be the richest, the fastest, the best at whatever. And people are going to like me more because I'm championing them. So it's something that just I'm aware of in my life that I just need to do more, be more aware of, and want to make sure,
That's good.
if I see something in them that is worth praising, I praise that in them. If I, see someone who needs something to do something great, what am I willing to give to that person to do something? Even if they're just in need.
Sure.
Am I willing to give and help them out?
Help them out, reassure them, affirm them.
Yeah.
Use the skills and the gifts that you have to make a difference in their life, a positive difference.
And the world right now is filled with people who just want to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, sure.
And it creates such a toxic environment. And I want to be the sort of person that wants to make the names of other people as well. Not just about names, but
I hear what you're saying.
Be about making other people's dreams come true.
Yeah. And I think if we do that in a small group, and it creates significant change in that small group, and you are lifting each other up as you're all progressing forward, and we start to see that happening across society, we build a stronger society, where people don't get left behind. It's really important. So championing other people,
making their dreams come true.
Love it.
That's the dream.
Well, actually, this ties in really well.
Okay.
So my hope for this podcast and Go Encourage in general is to be a place of encouragement. So as a final question, we're there now. Oh, it's sad. It's the final question. As a final question for you today, what would you say to the Go Encourage community to encourage them as they journey through their own personal growth?
Wow. Okay.
So we're looking for encouragement.
I mean, look, there's been a lot said today. If I could say anything to encourage someone on their personal growth, it'd be this: just keep going. It's like I said, just keep putting one step in front of the other. And just keep going.
Just keep going.
There's a lot you can do, but you know what I mean? You can, like we've said a lot today about taking action.
Yep.
About cutting the fat, about championing other people. There's a lot of things you can do in this world.
Just doing it.
But
getting on with it.
It all falls apart when you plateau, when you stop. Just don't get stuck in the mud.
Don't get stuck.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah, it's been great to be here.
So good. I just want to, before you go, I want to give you an opportunity to shout out, let us know where people can find you online.
Yeah, so you can follow my Instagram. That's my most active social media at Sam_Phillips_7. We can put that in the
we'll put
in the comments.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, that's where you can find me
That's
online.
where we can find you.
Yeah.
All right, awesome, cool. Well, thanks again.
Yeah.
I really
no
hope
worries.
you'll come back and talk to us again in the future. I think you've given us lots of nuggets of information and wisdom that, you know, we can go away, have a think about, reflect on. And if anyone has any questions, can they put them in the comments and you'll come back and answer them?
I'll come back and answer them.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thanks so much, Sam. It's been such a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, it's been good.
So goodbye to Sam Phillips. What a legend. Thank you for coming. I hope you guys got something out of that. And whatever you're doing, keep moving forward and keep going in courage. See you next time. Hey, if you enjoyed that video today, why don't you click that like button down below? It really helps out the channel. Why not stay up to date by clicking on the subscribe button as well, where you'll get notified about future podcasts and all things Go in Courage.